Hi Sloths, and welcome back to Unpopular Opinions, the show where I piss off the internet. Now, I know it's been a while since the last episode, and I want to apologise for that. I'm not a fan of writing scripts and reading them, and recording them takes a while. Don't worry, I still plan to finish Season 2 this year. Anyway, in today's episode, I would like to talk about something that's been on my mind for years now. Why are snow and ice levels in games so terrible? Wait a second, are snow levels actually bad? Well, that depends on which maniac you decide to ask. See, I'm one of those people who don't like snow or ice in most circumstances, but there are so many people out there who love this stuff. People like snow so much that they make entire games about it. I mean, let's take a look at some examples of popular snow-based games. We've got games like Ice Climber, Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympic Games, Silent Hill Shattered Memories, Winter Heat and Yeti Sports, which is a series I love despite all the ice and water. It's not just developers who like to incorporate snow levels into their games, as we've seen time and time again, consumers and fans love some of these levels for a variety of reasons, and some people just seem to have an affinity and love for frozen things. Winter-themed fan art, mods that add seasonal themes that include winter, festive remixes of popular songs, and much more. There are so many questions I have about people's love for snow, so let's move on and try to see if we can answer my next question. Why is it that we see so much snow in games? Well, one of the answers to answer this question is from a game development and design viewpoint: the formula. So I'm sure you've noticed in platformers that you generally tend to have different sections that all have different themes, right? It's not hard to miss, especially if you spent your life playing Mario games. The usual formula includes, in no particular order, things like grass, jungles, sky, mountains, deserts, the ocean or beaches, snow and ice, lava. Sometimes there'll be extra areas like space, swamps, spooky forests. The one we're focusing on, however, is the constant and unending addition of snow-themed areas. It's absolutely everywhere. Cool Mountain, Ice Cap Zone, Sherbetland, Heber Mountain, Shiverstar, and so many more. Let's talk about Pokemon for a second, because we all know I can't stop thinking or talking about the bloody franchise. Even these games tend to have a formula. First, you'll start in a forest, enter some cities and towns all across the world. Check out some parks, plains and grasslands. Eventually, you'll end up in rivers, lakes and oceans, then you might go back to some forests. You'll end up in a bunch of caves, and there's sometimes a mountain at the start and a massive mountain at the end. Sometimes you'll go to a swamp or a desert, but you will always enter an ice area. Let's take a look at some, shall we? Seafoam Islands, Ice Path, Shoal Cave, Snowpoint City. Have you noticed it? Other than ice, snow and water, what do all of these have in common? They're all areas towards the end of the game. Well, Ice Path is more towards the halfway point, but it's towards the end of your main JoJo journey. It seems to be a natural occurrence for games to put ice areas towards the end of the game, and it's obvious Pokemon is no stranger to this concept at all. There are plenty of reasons why this is the case, so let's go over some. The first and most obvious reason is difficulty. Ice is a very dangerous hazard in most games. It's slippy, it's cold, it can freeze you or lower your health, and the physics are usually just awful. A lot of this is done on purpose to make things a bit more difficult for players, which gives them a challenge. Some people, myself included, just find ice physics really frustrating to deal with. I mentioned that there are other reasons, so what are they? Well, how about the real world? In our world, tundras are a very dangerous place, where not many people are able to survive. It's usually too cold to stay in places like that for too long, and even modern technology can struggle to function when it's so cold. In games, it's probably going to be the same, where most people can't stay for too long, and it's a constant and dangerous battle to stay alive in such environments. Another reason I've seen pop up from time to time is that a lot of games like to add levels in the form of seasons. And since winter is generally put towards the end of the 4 seasons, it just tends to get added towards the end of the games. The final reason I want to talk about is one I actually don't like, despite how I feel about these kinds of levels, and that's when people call snow and ocean levels lazy. I think most game developers will tell you that game design and development is a constant and difficult struggle. They might sometimes cut corners to fulfill time requirements, please their higher-ups, or make life easier for themselves, but it's very rare that someone will make an entire level in a specific theme that's difficult to get right just because they can't be bothered with something that aesthetically pleases the player more. Like I said, it's hard to get snow levels right and to look nice, and most of the time, developers and designers will be working hard to make something that is both functional and fits a theme they think looks good. Okay, I won't lie, I hate your typical winter-themed festive sounds and music. Not only do I not like Christmas for a variety of reasons, but the constant sounds of Christmas or winter festivities stirs something primal and angry within me. I just don't like it. But that doesn't mean there aren't a few exceptions. I also might not like the original versions of these songs, but if you turn them into metal, rock, or go the chiptune route, I might just grow to like it. Here's a few winter themed songs I personally like. Ice Cap Zone from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Snowy from Undertale, Cool Cool Mountain from Super Mario 64, Frozen Factory Act 1 from Sonic Lost World, yes, I'm still defending that game, Cool Edge from Sonic Unleashed, Shiver Star from Kirby 64, and Snow Go from Crash Bandicoot 2. People like these sounds, and people want more of it. It reminds them of happy family times over winter holidays. Some people find it cozy and comforting, and some people enjoy the jolly and upbeat vibes that a lot of these songs tend to emit. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can't enjoy these songs because to each their own and stuff, but, you know, this is a show called Unpopular Opinions, and I need to tell you how sick and tired I am of this stupid, irritating, jolly sound that keeps coming out of those shiny, shiny sleigh bells. Why can't developers just make the music haunting and lonely like snow really is? Wait, I'm supposed to be telling you why people like this stuff, not why I hate it. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. Have you ever looked at glass, gemstones, or crystals and thought they looked absolutely beautiful? Well, that's what a lot of people feel when they look at a block of ice. Now, we all know that ice in the real world isn't all that pretty, but game designers know exactly how to make ice look pleasant. The only ice I can think of right now that I think looks cool is the crystal-like patterns used in 2D Sonic games, like Ice Cap Zone and Ice Paradise from Sonic Advance 2. I also kind of like the design from Twinkle Snow from Sonic Advance 3. Blue may be one of my favourite colours, and it's the favourite colour of millions of people, so when they see blue things in games such as ice, they automatically find it pleasing to them. People also see past the physical or visual beauty and find a deeper meaning. I've heard some people say they love ice and snow because it represents things like quietness, stillness, and peace. Some people feel snow to be pure because it's white. I can understand that there is some sort of serenity in snow for some people. In a more scientific viewpoint, snow actually engages with all 5 senses. Visually, snow is often a pure white, bright canvas that sparkles gently when the sun shines on it in just the right way. It's cold to the touch, which is quite stimulating for some people apparently. What do cold things even feel like anyway? Now, I don't like frozen food in general, but there's some people out there who love it. If you like ice cream and ice lollies, you'll probably like a big bowl of snow. Well, perhaps to an extent. Now, I've not been able to smell a thing in about 9 or 10 years, so I don't remember what snow smells like, but some people do report that fresh snow has a certain smell to it that they just can't get enough of. I've heard of huffing glue, but if you're gonna sit there and sniff the snow for 10 hours straight, I'm definitely staying away from you. There are other aspects of snow that people find beautiful or meaningful, such as how fleeting it is because it sometimes comes and goes very fast. Then there's the unpredictable nature of snow and cold weather. I mean, there's also sports based around it and an entire spin-off of the Olympics that's based around snow and ice based sports. so some people spend their entire lives in and around it. There are plenty of places around the world that are covered in snow most of the time, and when people from those areas are in other areas, they may get homesick, and some snow and ice is all they need to feel comfortable, which is fair enough. You need that sense of familiarity. Oh, side note real quick, children love snow because it gets them off of school for a day or two. Actually, the only time my school ever closed because of like the ice and snow was this one time when we actually had a blizzard, and even then it took them nearly an hour to let us leave. The reason they took so long to let us leave actually is because they thought it was like too dangerous because you could barely see your own hand in front of your face at one point. I also got pelted with hail in the summer once, which was kind of funny and interesting. That was years ago. That was back in like 2017, 2018. It was one of those 2 years. Either way, it was it was really bizarre. Okay, before everyone starts calling me entitled like they did in my Tears of the Kingdom video, I just want to clarify again that I don't believe games are made specifically for me. I don't believe they should be made to specifically adhere to my personal taste and whims, and I don't, not even for a second, actually believe developers should get rid of snow levels altogether. They are an integral part of game design, and we've already gone over why. But I do want to tell you all that I don't like snow and ice. I don't really like winter-themed levels all that much. I'm not a big fan of festive music. There is a long list of reasons as to why I don't like snow and ice, either as an aesthetic, physical object, or as areas and levels in games. But one of the big things I think many people, including myself, can agree on is that snow and ice itself often looks quite ugly and dull. People like to see it as a beautiful, serene blank canvas, but I see it as a cold, lonely and desolate blank space. I don't find snow and ice as something beautiful, but something colorless and basic. To me and a lot of people, snow levels look incredibly empty. Snow can fill a lot of space, and I think that's why it makes everything look either smaller in comparison or endless. I guess it also has something to do with how empty white spaces tend to look more vast than they actually are. The other major problem with the visuals of snow levels is that the same colours are always being used. Blue, white and sometimes turquoise. Depending on the area, there might be hints of purple, green, black and grey. Because of how hard it is for things to survive in freezing temperatures, we often don't get a lot of living things in snowy areas, which obviously affects how we visualise snow levels when designing them. You can't have too much foliage, and since everything's covered in snow, there's plenty of larger objects that are harder to see. Smaller objects are covered up to the point that you just won't see them at all, unless you trip over. I mentioned earlier that I couldn't think of many ice or snow levels I find visually interesting, and that's because it all looks the same. When you've seen a few snowy areas, you've practically seen them all. The way to get around this is to have interestingly designed areas and great non-frustrating gameplay. Having good music helps too. I know it's all well and good me saying that, but I do understand that those things are very difficult to implement. Especially when working with snow and ice in gaming is very difficult. Some developers like the challenge of designing something distinct in such a bland and vast tundra of late game levels and areas. Creatively, it's hard and I get the interest in a good challenge, but sometimes just don't. Does your game need ice and snow? Is it important to the story or gameplay? Is it part of your formula, or are you just adding it for the sake of it? All very good questions. Let's move on to another answer. We've been saying this for years upon years at this point. The typical formulas of pretty much most genres of gaming are becoming bland and stale. People want things that are new, fresh and fun. We get it, we understand the formula works, it's easy and it's safe. But we've seen it so many times now that we're all a bit collectively bored and tired of it. I do believe that snow levels fit into this. I mean, think about it for a second. How many snow levels can you think of that have slippery ice mechanics? a mostly desolate wintry design, festive music, and penguin enemies. Pretty much all of them, right? If it's a shooter, it's just a frozen wasteland with a few frosted bases and enemies well camouflaged into the snow and ice. Don't even get me started on open world games, making you need warm clothing or a specific item that stops you taking damage for being in cold areas for too long. I'm looking at you, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I'm looking at you. Making something completely original can be very challenging, especially when you press for time like a lot of developers actually are. So I guess that's another reason why the formula works so well. But when everything looks the same, how are you supposed to stand out? How is a game supposed to do well if you can't differentiate its levels? I'm not just talking about just snow levels here, but the basic formulas and cliches we see in all kinds of genres and franchises. Aiming for originality isn't the easiest, but I do hope that someone out there is still trying to make something new and exciting. If I see one more mascot horror game, I'm gonna... Okay, so I think this is the topic everyone thinks of when they hear about someone not liking a snow level. Snow levels are notorious for being some of the most frustrating and unfair parts of games, and that's for a good reason. We'll get the obvious one out of the way first. We all know about slippery ice mechanics, and we've all unfairly died to it thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times. Ice physics are usually very slippery, and your character often tends to slide around, including a short slide after they stop moving. Yes, this is realistic, but it is so annoying. I do understand the challenge in having your controls go from smooth to outrageously slippery, but there are many instances where this gets really bad. Have you ever stepped on ice and it just cracks? Well, that's another game mechanic that's common in ice levels. During some levels you're going to have to cross dangerous areas, but if you walk too fast or stay on a platform too long, the ice will crack and you will die. How about icy water damaging you over time, cold air damaging you over time, getting stuck in the snow, slow movement through the snow, being too cold to move quickly, getting frozen for a short period of time, falling icicles, icicle death bits, hidden enemies, hidden collectibles, limited visibility, heavy mist and fog, overly festive music and environments, melting platforms, water sections, swimming, high winds that push you backwards, sliding puzzles, anything but those bloody sliding puzzles. As you can see, there are many really annoying mechanics linked with snow levels and areas. There is one game I really do want to give credit to for its ice levels, and that's actually Super Mario 3D World. Skating around in a Goomba shoe is clunky, but it's interesting, and the ice skating mechanics are actually an inventive and more fun way of getting around. Of course, you can still slip and slide around when walking and running, but if you figure out how to skate, it's so much more enjoyable. I think I'd like to have a go at summarising the truly terrible side of snow levels. So here goes nothing. Snow levels often tend to be monochromatic, visually dead landscapes that make you feel cold and lonely. They fit into a basic formula that's more stale than an open bag of 2-day-old crisps that have been left in a fridge, and the music is so festive that it's more grating and irritating than jolly and uplifting. Snow levels can often be repetitive and boring, with their constantly frustrating mechanics and bland atmosphere. Personally, I don't like winter as an aesthetic, I don't like festive aesthetics, and I don't find snow and ice a comfy vibe. I don't think we should call for the cancellation of snow levels, but I definitely feel like they need a massive overhaul in creativity and quality. You're fine to enjoy these aesthetics yourselves, but don't you dare go telling me you enjoy Candice's gym in the Sinnoh Pokemon games. I know some of you watching this are probably telling me that I'm just a bad gamer and get good, but just because you don't find it too difficult or too challenging doesn't actually mean it's good game design, fun, or visually appealing. Well, there you go. That's my unpopular opinion on how terrible snow levels are and why some people out there like them. With all this being said, please like and subscribe, it's always free, and I'll see you later.